listening to Power Plug Radio, home of your throwback jams.
Good morning, St. Petersburg. I am your humble, gracious, and newly announced candidate for District 6 City Council, Mhariel Summers. And I am here on our first episode of the St. Petersburg podcast with my co-host for the summer and the leader of our team. I call him Captain Jacob. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the world, bud.
How you doing, everyone? My name's Jacob Terrell, and I am just more than over the moon to be here with Mhariel today because let me just tell you, ever since I met this woman a couple years ago back at USF, there was just something about her that, I mean, she just shined like a diamond.
Dude, you always said that.
I'm telling you.
We used to be in class together, and he'd be like, "I'm gonna work for you one day, dude, and we're gonna do some great things." And I'd be like, "Get out of here!"
Since day one, I knew it. Like, I literally would tell Mhariel that all the time, people. Yeah. And here I am, years later, running for city council,
doing our dreams, dude.
Exactly.
Doing the things. Very few people get the opportunity to actually pursue the things of their dreams, let alone be able to do it with the people who they always
exactly
thought or maybe hoped or envisioned that they could do it with. But
for some people it might be like one of those like pipe dreams, but again, with you, Mhariel, I knew 110% that you were going the distance, and that like if I could just ride those coattails and hang on for dear life, we are going all the way, man.
But see, that's what I love about our connection is the mutual respect. You know what I mean? Because when I was like making this decision, I immediately knew that it was important to surround myself with people who could help get this mission accomplished. And when I thought about who I would trust, I mean, there are a lot of people who could do this. There are consulting firms. There are, established people, I guess, so to speak. But man, when I was thinking about like who could actually do this with all of our team, took the same approach. Like, who do I trust? You were like, top of the list.
Well,
top of the list.
I thank you for that.
Top of the list. So tell these people. I've been doing the political hour since probably the end of last election cycle, and it's been pretty fun to get on here and kind of talk. And so folks may know a little bit about me, and we can get into that. But want to give you the opportunity to tell the folks a little bit about yourself and your experience out here in the political realm, so to speak.
Mine is one of those long and storied journeys, if you will. Going way back, I got an undergrad from up north in Illinois. I was very much wanting to live that kind of old school hippie dream, if you will. I was doing environmental science and like very much had the long hair and just wanted to go work out at the national parks. But as time goes on, like I started really like delving deep into what my, kind of like the passions were, and it always kind of came back to policies, law, like the historical aspect of a lot of things.
Yeah.
So fast forward a bunch of years throughout the 20s. I had a great time in the 20s, obviously, but wanted to start getting a little bit more serious, and that's when it just started to click. Like politics, what do I always read about? What did I always want to do? So getting into USF was a godsend, obviously. Having some of the teachers that we had, some of the, the mentors that we had. Like one of my professional mentors now is like one of my best friends. He's only a little bit older than myself.
Right.
And I mean, that connection is just,
that's another benefit I think people, don't realize about our local higher education institutions. I mean, we were both adult students. I went out in the workforce. I decided to, I can make money without college.
Exactly.
So I did that whole route, and I did a great job, I think, for a young 20-year-old getting out here and moving to Denver and stuff like that. But like you said, you start to get to this point where you want to have more of an impact on the world around you.
Exactly.
And I share that with you, just that realization that all things that I am tweaked and interested about all lead back to politics.
Exactly.
So no, it's a divine thing that we ended up as adult students at USF at the same time. But as adult students, when we go to these higher learning institutions, we're able to kind of develop relationships with professors that are like academia based, and the professors are just excited to pour into people.
Exactly. Oh yeah. And again, that aspect of being a little bit older adds an element too, because again, you're not, this isn't your first rodeo. You're there for, you don't want to say solely the education, but I mean, you're putting forth 110% effort. So again, pouring into these,
and not only that,
relationships,
we're a little bit more seasoned with our perspective as young adults, and so we really give the professors the substance that they desire as educators.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, I have a few professors from my time at SPC and USF that I still keep in close contact with today, which was dope. But so we graduated with our degrees, poli-sci.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I believe Mhariel was the only person to beat me. She was number 1 in the program, and I believe I was number 2.
Yeah, we were right up there. We got some cum laude somethings on those degrees, that's for sure. But no, man, it was an exciting thing to kind of go through together. But talk a little bit more about what you've been involved in post graduation, or maybe some of the professional experiences that you've had either while getting your education or post degree.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, one of my first major outings was actually with you and helping. I believe it was with the restoring felon voting rights. So that was a couple of years ago now, and that was actually one of my first outings, just kind of hitting the streets.
The MLK, I think it was the MLK parade.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah,
and we were unbought and unbossed then. We went and got our clipboards from the supervisor of elections. We got the approval to have the registration number for the Democratic Party, and just kind of went out as little change agents.
Oh yeah, and then from there it only skyrocketed because of, again, some of the opportunities at USF. I was able to actually get on with the Elizabeth Warren campaign and go up to New Hampshire, work the presidential primary, the first in the nation presidential primary, for almost a full month under the Warren team. And we're talking top tier leadership, and getting to see all
national politics.
All the big heavyweights talking. And it was absolutely one of the most eye-opening, unbelievable experiences I've had, especially through school.
Right.
So that was amazing. And then post-graduation, I was actually fortunate enough, through one of my professors, was able to get a job at the supervisor of elections office, the main office up in Largo there.
Yes, sir.
Operations department. It was actually during the 2020 election cycle. So talk about a crazy time. But the opportunities and things that I was able to learn there, just because of how busy it was, they kind of bounced us around to a lot of different departments. All right, we need some help up here this week. All right, we need some help down here. So and
that's politics, right? You got to be able to be nimble, kind of work on your toes, be prepared for the unexpected, and still get the outcome.
Yeah, but seeing that election process from the inside out, all the nuances, was absolutely, again, one of those eye-opening, amazing experiences that I get to take with me forever. Because again, the 2020 election, it's that's gonna stand in quote unquote infamy for quite a while, and it's I worked it, but little things too. Obviously, I've been precinct captains and clerked elections, so I've definitely done some smaller community type things on up to the bigger professional jobs, and I just am trying to continue this work, and we're trying to make it to City Hall, people.
Hey, that's it. We're taking it to City Hall. But that is one of the things that I love about the team that we've been able to assemble here, the Summers for St. Pete squadron. The squad. No. Is, we are joke with a buddy of mine. It's how are you in your rookie season, retired, and in your prime? Right. It's just, but that's the beauty in a lot of young adults and a lot of young talent here in our city, man, is maybe we haven't had that big opportunity to get out here and show the world what we can do. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that we're not capable. Doesn't mean that we're not prepared. But it's just about finding the right opportunity. So with me taking this leap of faith and kind of stepping out, it was imperative that I do so as a first time candidate with people who I knew also had the potential to be first time
Exactly.
MVPs as well. And you're definitely one of those guys,
Well,
man.
thank you.
So we've been cooking up. We got some exciting things coming, right?
Yeah, we do. A lot of big events planned. For the fact that first time candidate getting off the ground running. I mean, we are moving along nicely, and I mean, we're going to take St. Pete by storm.
I really think so. I really think so. We got a lot of exciting ideas. There's a lot of interest out there. A lot of folks who want to get involved. A lot of folks who are ready to contribute money, and so we're making sure to be all legal and compliant, and
crossing T's and dotting
I's. But hopefully today and at the very latest early Monday, we can kind of have that online donation platform available for the good people who are constantly hitting us up to find out how they can donate money, which is going to be huge.
Yeah, that's the final little step in our launch, basically. We're just waiting on some finalization, but again, everything is running smoothly, and this is going to be an amazing race.
We got a heck of a team, and so I'm really excited for the city to watch us as young professionals operate what I think is going to be a masterful campaign.
Oh yeah, and what I'm most excited about too is just to see the people's reactions when they not only realize that Mhariel is a young woman, not only from the community, but just in the short amount of time, the things that you have done.
Right.
You're not just coming from left field like, oh, again, we've talked about this. It's I didn't just graduate. You've been in this. You have been a part of the political conversation in this town for quite some time now.
Full disclosure, folks, Jacob is trying, because I'm a humble person, and I
to say the least,
because I don't know, just sitting and saying, well, I did this and I did that. That's just not, how I know. But
I'll be the one to brag for her, and let me tell you, her record is stellar, phenomenal. Man. I mean, she is just aiming for the cosmos.
Aiming for the cosmos is definitely it. But to talk a little bit about that, to give it some more pragmaticism, since I probably haven't laid it out before, right? So I do have some experience working in this community, right? So I started pursuing my 4-year degree back in 2016 at SPC, and immediately got involved. My second semester, I took a study abroad trip to South Africa with some of the great leadership from SPC there. Made some great friendships. Learned about the apartheid and its relation to the civil rights era. But here at home, I was immediately mentored, man, and a lot of good men and women in this community took me underneath their wing. They took my radical sort of black nationalist views at the time, and kind of just helped shape me into like complete opposite. Well, I won't say opposite, but a more well-rounded and grounded, well-informed version of that rookie from 2016. But that included interning and then later becoming the manager of the Carter G. Woodson Museum. So I worked alongside Miss Terry.
Golf club.
My gosh, she always deserves the applause. Yeah. Always. Snap it up for her. And then, I had the opportunity also while being in school to intern 2 semesters for the great Senator Terrell.
Big one. Watch out now, people.
Can we clap it up for him?
Oh, yeah.
Because folks don't realize.
Exactly.
Folks don't realize. That man is brilliant. I had the privilege to serve as the Black Community Engagement Coordinator for Congressman Charlie Crist on his bid for re-election last election cycle, which was awesome, and we got to clap for Charlie because we're going to clap for everybody else.
Right. All the time.
And then, most recently, and I don't want to say lastly because it's definitely not least, I've had the utmost privilege to serve as the district secretary for the phenomenal, the game-changing, the honorable state representative, Michelle Lerner.
Oh, yeah.
Clap it up for Michelle.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And if our cameras weren't set, I'd probably do a standing ovation for that lady. No, because she's just a true warrior. I mean, and having the privilege to, work for these strong community leaders, to learn from them, just different lessons, key lessons that help kind of shape my perspectives and the things that we're learning and debating about, 3 times a week in class, and post. All the while, I'm having these enriching experiences with these leaders in the community that are helping me kind of put it all, put it all into perspective.
Because that's, very much a component of education. There's very much the theory side, which is what college is.
Right.
It's very much discussion and learning, reading. But then the other side to that is very much the application and applying it. And that's where you don't want to say people fall short. Right. But Mhariel, that is very much where you exceeded, ran with it. And
focused.
Then, exactly.
Focused.
You
prepared.
You got the theory side of it.
Right.
And you got the practical. So that's very much why it's like, I have no qualms.
Yes.
Being here right now supporting you, because I know like you have the tools and the skill set to make all of this happen. So,
I appreciate it. I love the dual dimension, but I would be remiss, and I'd probably go home tonight and be thinking about it all day if I didn't say that there are 3 dimensions that I would tell people that are necessary. And that third dimension is you got to have something that stabilizes your compass.
Okay, yeah.
Because here in politics, as you know and I know, it can be ambiguous, it can be monotonous.
It can get muddled.
It can be muddled. I mean, and you can very quickly, with good intentions, like they say, the road to hell is paved.
Yep. With good intentions.
With great intentions. And so without that third dimension, that compass that is kind of leading and helping guide you to stay true to your ethics and your morals and your values as you receive new information, as you go through new experiences, I don't see myself getting to this point without that.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's faith. Yeah. I always say my political theories are rooted in the concepts of Dr. Martin Luther King, who, if he would have had a political science degree, he would have been the first Black president. Right. I have no doubt. But he took sociology, he took the Reverend route, and thank God that he did. But just not being afraid, man, to stand on faith. I think a lot of people, especially on the left side of politics, they don't talk about these things. Yeah. And it's given people on the right side of politics. Yeah,
the right has definitely co-opted.
Yeah, like
religious.
They took they hijacked the whole message, and so, I'm hoping that, that just kind of organically shines through a lot of our messaging. Is that? And
I'm glad you kind of talked on that too, because again, especially within the political atmosphere and arena that we're in today, not just at a local level, but obviously nationally, state, whatever. You touching on the fact that like having that moral compass, no matter what it is, like everyone has their beliefs, but like trying to actually stay true to that and not letting some of these outside factors, quote unquote, like sway you, if you will.
Yeah,
that's huge, because again, going forward, that's what I feel like the community are truly looking for. Not just another quote unquote puppet or somebody up there.
Somebody with solutions. Anybody can read data and give you solutions. You know what I mean? Like anyone can.
Somebody with like a moral fiber.
But moral fiber.
Exactly. Like somebody with,
the heart for the people. Right, right. So,
but again, I'm just glad you touched on that.
Yeah, got to. Can't leave it off the table. Faith is important. I had the privilege we had the privilege yesterday evening of attending
Unite Against Hate.
Unite Against Hate.
Yep,
the Florida Holocaust Museum.
Yep.
So
it was a good time. Yeah, a lot of good people there. Yeah. Some good prayers. I mean, it was unfortunately, they did talk about, and I mean, one of those things that we can talk about going forward, but just some of these community issues, like they were vandalized. Last week,
they were. So if you don't know the story, you can Google it. Quickly, but our own local Holocaust Museum, which is in the district that I'm running for, it was vandalized. It was somebody wrote some very ugly words in spray paint on the side of their building, probably as a reaction. If you are paying attention to international news, the conflict in Israel between the Jewish community and the Palestinians is heating up. There are things happening, and so to be able to be out there yesterday, to be able to listen to all of the different denominations step up and offer solidarity, pray to their God. There was a Muslim prayer to open up this Jewish
I believe, and the imam.
The imam. And so, for me, that's what faith is about. It's not about dividing people. It's not about telling people that they don't belong because they don't believe. Exactly. But it's really using that, like I said, as a compass for my own heart and morals and ethics and just doing right by people. Nice. Yeah. So dude. We got the moral compass. We got the experience. We got the education. And so now we just have nothing left but all the excitement to get out here and
again, it's going to be absolutely amazing because I'm like, I already touched on it before, but just having and getting people's reactions to you is always amazing because I know how I first reacted. Like I said, just like, oh my God, this woman is amazing. But again, just
always
the fact
always
that
a blessing.
she
Appreciate
is
it.
young. And when people start to realize, oh my goodness, she's already done so much in this community. This is not, again, just some like, she's out of left field. She just graduated and it's like, oh, what to do next?
Right.
So I'm just
and then when
very
we say
excited to have
young, one thing I like about our team is that we are young professionals.
Yeah.
We are young in the sense where I'm 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're
33.
33.
Yeah. I think I'm the oldest one in the campaign at
you might be the oldest one. I know Byron and Ashley and Ben Kirby are our other team members, and all of us kind of fit into this same age category. Yeah. And so I think when people think of young politicians, they worry about like the radical, whiny youth complaining types. Yeah. And so I'm very much looking forward to being able to usher in that new professional era.
Flip the script on it.
Of young leadership and say, look, this isn't whiny complaining politics. Exactly. This is, well thought out, economic based politics.
Not that we don't have our complaints, people, but we do. Exactly.
But we have our solutions because we went to school and spent many years talking about what it's going to take. And so if you're just tuning in, if you're just watching, I am Mhariel Summers, and this past week I announced that I'm running for St. Petersburg City Council for the District of District 6. And so, yes, it's a celebration, folks. It's a celebration. And so the political hour has been put on ice for the time being. And this summer, my campaign manager and I, Captain Jacob here, will be with you guys each and every Friday with the Summers for St. Pete podcast.
Yeah, and going forward, we hope to discuss a lot of, community-driven discussions, based on feedback from you guys.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and throw that out there right now. Going forward, we'd love to hear from the community.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear what's on your guys' mind and anything that we can go forward with, formulating discussions, getting activists and like whatever we can do, basically. Just inform us, what are your needs?
And we're also going to have some folks on with us.
Too.
You know what I mean? It won't just be us talking about these things, but we're going to bring some of those people on and
pretty much every week.
We're try and do that and have these folks join the conversation. But as we campaign, I hope to be able to talk to you guys in person about my platform and the different, agenda areas that platform kind of fits. And we hope to use this Friday to just kind of talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily talk about the platform and the agenda, but just politics in general and some of the events that we're going to, some of the things we're seeing. We talked about the Holocaust thing, but another event that we hit the campaign trail.
Oh yeah, we hit it running. Yeah, we hit the ground running, people.
Another event we went to this week, mayoral candidate Ken Welch put on a youth summit. And you were there like earlier than I was, but like, what were your thoughts from like listening to, I guess, the questions that the people raised, and then maybe some of the advice that some of those
because they had a pretty all-star celebrity panel as well. They had some like a Tampa Bay Bucks player. They had a gentleman who was like producing music for Rod Wave. Right now, a local tattoo,
Mr. Brainstorm,
African American tattoo,
Mr. Brainstorm,
exactly. Open up. But anyways, the panel was phenomenal.
And Kimbrielle. Now, so you
Kimbrielle,
mentioned
yes.
all of the men. Now
I'm
I gotta say the
because
woman.
I knew that there was one more.
Kimbrielle. Shout out to Kimbrielle Finch. This she's gonna make sure all of our kids learn how to swim safely and equitably.
And we're actually gonna probably do a little something with her later.
Yeah, we're thinking
that's something
about
to come.
it. Yeah, all right.
But anyways, so this panel very much discussed just giving back to the community in terms of like providing opportunity, because one of the things that obviously was focused on the most, you know, within especially the South African American community, is just the lack of opportunities. So every single one of the panel members was just up there talking about some of the charitable events and like some of the charities that they have going on, and a lot of the community was just very much talking about what they were worried about. It's just very much that lack of opportunity. Like, where are our quote unquote leaders? Like, we don't have very, you know, solid choices when it comes to people to like vote for that represent us. We don't have, you know, like, I mean, even just down to like the teaching level, you know, a lot of like the teaching system, educational system,
and so forth.
And so there's nobody to look up to.
So I heard those things. I heard those things. And what I heard was essentially, we don't have a roadmap to the greater promise of prosperity that this nation offers. And people called it mentors. They called it opportunity. They named it of a bunch of different names. But when they started to describe it, what they described was not being able to conceptualize how to get from where they are to where they'd like to be. And they're hoping that the mentor takes them there. They're hoping that the opportunity takes them there. All of these things that they're saying that they hope they need is really the younger generation looking for a roadmap. They're not looking for a handout. They just want to know, what do I need to do?
Like, what's the next step?
Because everywhere I call, I'm getting a no. You know, nobody's showing me, nobody's telling me. And so we have a plan for that. Right? So we're going to take a quick break here. The political hour is going to take a quick break. And we are going to come back. We'll talk a little bit about how our plan looks, and we'll talk about some of the funner theories that Jacob and I have discussed over the years. So this is the Summers for St. Pete podcast. I'm Mhariel Summers. Please stay with us, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Power Plug Radio, home of your throwback jams. Plug Radio. Home of your throwback jams.
All right, welcome back. Let me make sure we are all logged on and everything. Okay, now, if you are just tuning in, I am Mhariel Summers, and this past week I announced that I'm going to go ahead and run for St. Petersburg City Council for District 6. So we're going to keep saying that, and I hope you guys clap with us every time. But I'll be here this summer with my campaign manager, Captain Jacob.
Hey.
Captain Jacob's in the house. And so we talked a little bit on the first part of the show about, our experiences individually and professionally and kind of how we cross paths. But, I want to spend the second part of the show talking about some of the more exciting things that we've gotten to debate about over the years and just kind of give folks a little bit of a peek into our our interests politically, so to speak. But before we do that, right before the break, we were talking about the youth summit, and we were talking about, folks not understanding the map to get from idea to prosperity. And I just want to briefly say, my simple campaign platforms are to keep St. Pete growing, to grow it with visible equity, and to do it with sustainability and resiliency. And I'm really excited to have you guys follow along the campaign trail to understand how that platform translates to people getting that roadmap. Because that's what it's all about, is equipping people, our young people, our existing business owners, the older people with dreams, but equipping those who have the talent and the work ethic with the proper resources to take their dreams and apply them to American prosperity. So
the American dream, try and make it easier on the people that come after us.
Yes, sir. So I did want to do that little campaign plug. But Jacob and I, we had several classes together, huh?
Oh yeah, I'd say at least one a semester.
Yes,
at least. And you were always the person I was looking for too. Like, where's Mhariel? I know she in here. I gotta have somebody to stand me up.
Oh man, I think for some of those professors, I was probably a thorn in their side some days.
You came in too prepared some days. Like even the professors were like blown away. Were like, I mean,
follow up with me after class.
Exactly.
And we'll just
a lot of those. Definitely a lot of those moments.
A lot of those days. But man, that's what it's about. You're a young adult. You're coming back to school not just to go through the motions, man.
Exactly.
You're going to try and dig out.
Exactly. That plays a part in us coming back as adults. Obviously, we were there for not because it was the next step, but
right,
because this is what we loved.
Exactly.
We loved talking about this stuff. This is,
and finding out how to take our passions,
yeah,
and turn those passions or turn those ideas or thoughts or theories into realistic solutions.
Exactly.
That's the kicker. So we bought a couple books. In today. What do you got, man? Let's throw some political theories out there. What were some of your favorite classes?
Yeah.
And let's talk about some of these things.
Yeah, actually, 20th, I guess this would be like modern political theory, basically.
Yeah.
With, Dr. Smith.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorite professors, just in the fact that not only was he the head of the department, but
right.
I mean, he was just so well, like, he just described things so well.
Yeah.
That he could take some of the most complicated subjects and break it down to you to make them not only palatable, but
right.
like to the point where you were thinking too. Like it was
yeah.
critical thinking. It was palatable again. I mean, it was everything. Some of his classes were amazing.
It was very well translated. Exactly. Some of these folks that I never thought that I would be able to relate to.
Exactly.
From way back to Socrates and Aristotle through the years to.
Because that's the other thing. We covered it all too. It wasn't just like, a Democrat, Republican.
No.
I mean, it was. We touched on anarchism.
Yeah.
We touched on like, literally everything. Communism.
Communism.
The
We
Jewish
talk
question.
the Jewish question, the black struggle.
Exactly.
The black struggle, and that was my favorite. I came with.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say
I came
one
with
of my favorites still to this day that I love reading and watching him is Cornel West.
Yeah, Cornel West.
So I know he's a little out there for some people. But,
Yeah,
oh,
but once you tap into Cornel West, I think I did a report when I was an emerging leader. I didn't mention that when I was going over my resume. Sorry guys, but I did. I was an emerging leader in the city of St. Petersburg with a whole bunch of other distinguished young black professionals. Among those, Ashley Green. Among those, Caprice Johnson Edmonds. Among those, Raphael Robinson. Mike Shorter. The list goes on, but the premier class of emerging leaders was my first experience in this community, being surrounded by other young, ambitious black people and being taught and filled in by black leaders. Nice. Pouring into it. Was just a very, very profound experience. But nonetheless, I digress. Right. One of the presentations that we did, I quoted Cornel West because he had this whole thing that we covered that I researched called nihilism.
Yeah, exactly.
Where he kind of talks about, the fact that, people who are kind of faced with these crushing conditions constantly kind of develop a consciousness that goes against a lot of what other folks would deem the moral code in society.
Decision-making fatigue.
The decision-making fatigue. Ooh. Come on, let's get into it, right? And so, when we're looking at, why certain negative things perpetuate in our city or our state, in our nation, and we segment it by community, and we try and identify why are right-wingers so radical, and why are gangsters so thuggish. When we try and identify these things, these theories really give you something to help empathize and understand.
And it gives you that you don't want to say always opposing viewpoint, but just that different viewpoint, and clearly a way to look at it in a way that you clearly might not have seen it before.
Right.
Something that's not right or wrong, or per se like a black and white or whatever.
Right.
It's just a different view, and it's just like something just kind of clicks. Like, wow, okay, now I can maybe empathize, maybe potentially with some more people because of, okay, wow, I read a couple, theories, this, that, and the other.
Right.
And I'm able to see it from a different perspective.
Or even more, like, now I understand, the ways that accommodating, this person or this community or this part of society is more beneficial. Now I'm not their enemy. And I think there was a lot in theory there. Do you remember Adorno and the consumer culture?
Yes. Because those ones were, I'm trying to look at those right now, because that was under like what, critical theory?
I think it was under maybe the critical theory, but
culture industry reconsidered.
The culture industry, and one of my favorite things about that dude was when he was talking about how movements and stuff like that. This was, a couple years back. People kind of revamped the whole British sign, keep calm, and keep calm and whatever. Fill in here. How that. In the time of the war was a very serious thing, but how pop culture kind of takes over things, and I think in the modern day we're kind of seeing that with Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? Where people are the leader who has all the houses and stuff. People are like, man, you're taking our struggle and turning it into a profitable. Yeah,
you're co-opting it.
Part of culture
that is not what we intended. Yeah.
Interesting. There were some more guys in there.
There's a lot of good stuff for sure. Yeah. But because again, at the end of the day, a lot of this reading of these theories, again, it's everything. It's conservatism, it's socialism, it's nationalism, it's religion and politics. Yeah. It's fascism. I mean,
we read the Ayatollah.
The Ayatollah Khomeini. Exactly.
We read some of these more extremist views.
Exactly. But it gives you perspective.
It gives you the perspective. So, political theory, guys, political concepts, please, never stop looking into the many dimensions that exist there, because there's so much to be said about why people make the decisions they make once you understand kind of the theories that they operate from.
Yeah, actually, a quote that I heard last night from the Unite Against Hate rally that stuck out to me was, our blended realities does not also equate to our national identities. So that was kind of like huge thinking about that aspect too, just very much that like not.
Okay, so that's a good segue to this class that we shared where I liked the professor and I liked the class, but you did not.
Yeah, not so much. Again, maybe it was the class aspect itself, a lot of tourists taking the class, if you will, but
he said a lot of tourists. No, this was not a class filled with political scientists. This was a class filled with some criminal justice majors and a whole bunch of diverging personalities, right? But this class was it was conflict in the world.
Yes.
And so we got a very good opportunity to look at all of the conflict in the world, which the PhD who taught that class asserts stems from World War I, right?
Yes, the Sykes-Picot Agreement.
Sykes-Picot is why all the the world's madness exists today.
So again, we already touched on it earlier. Literally, the like things like the Palestinian, Israeli,
the Arab Spring,
the Arab Springs. A lot of that. A lot of this dates back to the redrawing of Ottoman Empire lines.
Yeah,
creating countries where there were no countries prior and taking into zero account obviously
any of the cultural gentrification,
gerrymandering,
gerrymandering, gentrification. So that's one of my favorite things, is being able to look at politics on like a global scale, on a regional scale, and then being able to scale it down and compare this, like coming back from Africa and being able to look at what we have going on here in the States versus what they have going on post-apartheid. Okay, I'm sorry guys, we got a little friction going. All right, there we go. No, we're good. But so the apartheid, understanding like the similarities between that and the civil rights era, that's another like big part of being able to look at something on a global scale and scaling it down to what we got going on. So as we looked at how the world and management of the world was just mismanaged and led to a lot of chaos today, it's very easy to make those parallels, like you're saying, with gentrification and the uprooting of local communities.
Well, I mean, it kind of dates back to very much that to the victors go the spoils aspects too. So I mean, it's kind of the same here in American politics. Whoever is in power at the right times in the right places, even amongst local politics in the communities, they get to make the rules that will last generations sometimes.
Or write the history, bro. Yes. Or write the history. There's that quote that says, until the lion learns to write, the hunter will always write the history books. And so now that we're on it, now I can't like let it go by.
Please.
Why is okay, so first of all, Texas already said no to this whole critical race theory thing. Why is Florida like tampering with the education system in this way to say, history has to be told without making any particular group a villain or, told strictly from a prosperity point of view. And essentially they're looking to take the 1619 Project's outlook and remove that from the teacher's arsenal. What's up with that?
I mean, for me, obviously, this is very much like how I think about it. But, I feel like a lot of the older generations clearly see these quote-unquote data that's coming out in terms of, within 25, 30 years, obviously a lot of these people are going to be now, what is the majority is now
minority.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel, again, a lot of it is just out of quote-unquote fear.
Yeah.
All what it is. Like, we're afraid of the what's to come.
Right.
And personally, I look at that and it's laughable because, again, history for me should be taught in a way that makes people think and open up their eyes and
Yeah.
like, you know, like really want to question what's going on to a degree.
So like that's something that I don't know how to make, like you were saying earlier, our fascination with political theory came because the PhD was able to make it palatable. That's something that I struggle with, is how do we make those things palatable in the mainstream society? Because, okay, one of my favorite professors in classes that I took, also one of your favorite professors, but you weren't in this particular class with me, but it was a Southern politics class.
Yeah.
And so that particular professor, at the time I hated it. I absolutely hated it because I wanted to talk about all of the theoretical and emotional and what I knew to be true about, you know, antebellum black life. And, you know, he was a statistics guy by nature. And so for him, it was looking at the Southern politics from the metrics point of view.
Yeah.
Now, in hindsight, very grateful. 2020. That's why he's the PhD and I was the student, right? But one of the things that he talked about with respect to the comments you just made, there's this book that we went through called The Indicted South. The Indicted South, the public criticisms, Southern inferiority, and the politics of whiteness. Mind you, this is like a white, blonde-haired, like SoCal sounding kind of dude. I'm like, dude, like, what is USF doing? Like,
Right.
I questioned everything, which, you know, like I said, in hindsight, you know, I'm very grateful for his perspectives, because he talked a lot about what it is that you're mentioning, which are these deeper fear, that people hang on to. And he was able to allow us to look through the lens of data to understand just how tight people are clinging on to those fears as the decades change.
Oh, yeah.
And so the numbers are there. The data is there. What you're saying isn't just merely a theory.
Yeah.
I say all that to say it is exactly the challenge that we got to figure out how to overcome. Because,
again, it's one of those, the power that they wield now is in jeopardy to a degree. Do I feel that the power is in jeopardy? No. Right. But again, like in their eyes, they feel like their hold on everything, and like a modern day reconstruction of how to teach history factually about how Christopher Columbus did not discover America. There were already Native Americans here. Right. You know, some of them were black. Exactly. Some of these concepts that are not really that eye-opening, but it goes against the kindergarten, you know, version of the way the things we were taught. We were taught that. We grew up in an egalitarian kind of atmosphere. Like everything America has done is like peachy king, and like we're kings of the world and we've done nothing wrong. Again, if you look at the history, unfortunately, this is not talking smack about the country or anything. I love this country, but it's just our history is blood-soaked. It's blood-soaked. It's, colonialism, Native Americans, African Americans, slavery,
Jim Crow
efforts, like
Jim Crow moving into what is it? Homophobia kind of took over as soon as gay people started stepping out.
There are so many things.
Mass incarceration.
Exactly. There are so many things here in America that is just.
But look, as we wrap up, folks, and I hope you guys are excited about the Summers for St. Pete podcast, because we're bringing this energy all summer. I do want to say that you and I are here to give people hope, because we know that these things exist. We're not afraid to coexist with one another, and we're not afraid to talk not about the emotional aspects, not about all of these things that don't matter, but to stick to the real facts about what people care about as it relates to moving their society forward together.
Exactly.
And so, yes, so excited to do this, man. So this is our first episode. The Summers for St. Pete podcast. I'm Mhariel Summers.
Jacob Terrell. And
join us, please, next Friday. We'll be back.
You're listening to Power Plug Radio, home of your throwback jams.